when we had the CCP main building audited, when it had a building audit, we just want to make sure that it's still sound because it's a 55-year-old building. It came out that it needs to be rehabilitated as soon as possible. So all the funding that we have for the other structures was reallocated first for the rehabilitation of the main building para tuloy-tuloy ang mga programa at hindi tayo magkaproblema. And besides, it's already 55-year-old building, so it really needs to be fixed.
Sa audit po ba, ano po yung mga problema?
Well, kasi nakikita na namin may mga cracks na on the walls and sa ceilings, and then yung mga may leaks, no, na has been there for quite a while. And even sa main lobby, nakakahiya because we would have important events, and dun sa may staircase biglang parang may pail, so it's really not looking good. So we find it wise already to start fixing the building.
So, bali yung rehabilitation po 4 years.
Yes, around 4 years.
Tapos,
We target to finish by 2025, hopefully. But at the rate we're going now, because we find mga areas that needs to be opened up. And in the beginning the original plan was to rehabilitate it floor by floor. But ang nangyari is, when we open up something, we find something new. And then, finally, the contractor already advised that it's already unsafe for the employees to be staying inside the building, working there while the renovation is ongoing. So, nagkaroon ng mga maraming new movements na unexpected. Kaya nagkaroon ng konting extension. But we are really targeting and advising our contractor that we need to finish on time because we need to resume doing the programs in the theater because it has the best acoustics. The CCP main theater has the best acoustics.
nag-bring up po kanina na bakit hindi na lang po daw gibain tapos simulan na lang ulit. Ano po yung response nyo?
Yeah, well, it's an iconic building. It's a cultural treasure done by none other than our national artist, Leandro Locsin. So, hindi siya talaga pwedeng gibain. Oo, definitely not, cannot be demolished. Yeah. So, what we can do about it is, bring it back to its, former glory. Because it used to be one of the best in Asia. And we intend to, after it's fixed, we tend to put it in the map again.
Sa ngayon po ba habang sarado yung main building, paano nyo po binibigay sa mga Pilipino yung mga exhibits, gano'n?
Yeah, good question. Ang kagandahan nung pagsasara ng gusali ng tanghalang pangbansa is nakakaikot kami ngayon, nakakapunta kami sa mga lugar na hindi namin nare-reach before. And nagagamit din namin, natulungan namin mga ibang theaters na magkaroon sila ng bookings, yung mga ganon, and mas nagiging reachable kami sa mga schools, sa mga universities, and yun nga, yung mga far regions outside the capital. So, mas greater ang reach namin ngayon, which we intend to keep once the building opens. Yeah.
Sabi niyo po natapos na po yung phase 1. Ano po ba yung phase 1?
Actually, hindi pa tapos ang phase 1. Ang mangyayari dyan is simultaneous gagawin yung architectural, yung interior ng CCP para matapos siya agad. Kasi kasi it's a rehab retrofitting so it has to go together. Yeah. May overlapping na mangyayari somehow.
Siguro message na lang po sa mga taong hindi nakakaalam na tuloy pa rin yung mga programa sa CCP kahit dito.
Yes. So, inaanyayahan ko po ang publiko, ang sambayan ng Pilipino na kahit po sarado po ang ating gusali, ang Cultural Center of the Philippines Main Theater Building, hindi po sarado or hindi nag-stop ang ating mga programa at kami ay matatagpuan sa maraming areas sa Metro Manila, sa nearby na mga cities and provinces, and even sa far regions. And ngayon, very aggressive kami sa mga outreach programs namin. Dinadala po namin ang Philippine Philharmonic Orchestra, ang Philippine Madrigal Singers sa iba-ibang parte ng ating bansa. Kaya hindi po totally sarado ang CCP, and Ngayon nga po nasa liwasang kalikasan tayo at magaganap, isa ito sa mga areas kung saan magaganap ang Pasinaya, which will be happening this weekend. So buong entire CCP complex po yan, magiging buhay na buhay po ang sining at kultura ngayong weekend para po sa lahat.
Sorry, last question na lang po pala. Ano po pala yung mga natapos nyo ng activities na dinala nyo sa iba-iba?
For this year, we had a good start. We were able to bring the Philippine Philharmonic Orchestra in Iloilo and in Rojas City. And it was very successful. People were singing with the orchestra, they were dancing with the orchestra. We had good attendance. A lot of people watched. 3,500 people watched in Iloilo, close to 4,000 I think, I was told by the mayor. And in Rojas City, we reached about 2,500. That's on site. And we were live on stream, so we reached more of our kababayans, even those overseas.
Okay na po ako.
I understand ma'am, kailangan ng batas kasi para sirain yung historic na building. Meron ba kayong proposal sa ating mga mamabatas na kung nakikita ninyong talagang kailangan na?
Meron po kasi mga provision na nagpo-prohibit na galawin ng isang gusali, and mahabang proseso yan. Pero sa ganda naman ng CCP, sa tingin ko parang heartbreaking even just the thought of it, of breaking it down. Anyway, hindi naman po kailangan because the building is really it's really beautiful and kayang-kayang ma-rehabilitate. Siguro kung magkakaroon tayo ng ilang structure na i-reconsider na ayusin, would be the film center.
How many
Oo.
percent ma'am ang kailangan ayusin sa buong CCP?
It's actually kasi depende dun sa mga problema. Hindi ko masabi in percentage. Sorry, hindi ako makapagbigay ng percentage. Masyado technical. Pero more on the inside, actually, than the outside. Kung yung sa outside, it's the waterproofing sa taas po ng building.
Kailan nga uli ito ma'am inumpisahan? Pag-renovate until matapos?
2018, I think, yeah. Oo, kasi
2018.
no, sorry. Ano na tayo ngayon, 2024? Kailan nag-start? 2021 ba? Kasi, teka lang.
So 4 years?
1, 23, 22, mga mid of 2021 na.
How much ang cost total?
It will cost around almost 2 billion. Oo.
Kasi
budget.
naman po ito.
Well, sinusuportahan naman po ng ating mga legislators at ng administrasyon yung pagsasaayos ng building.
Kasi during Marcos time po ito.
Yes, di ba?
Kaya
So
madam-
parang expected yata na susuportahan nila. So
Opo,
there,
madam.
naman the administration is.
Thank you ma'am. Last message sa ating mga kababayang nanonood ngayon. Buong
Yeah.
Pilipinas.
Yes, inaanyayahan ko po ang ating mga kababayan na hindi dahil sarado po ang CCP building is wala na pong programa ang Cultural Center. In fact, mas nabuhay nga po ngayon, grabe ang expansion namin dahil maraming areas sa ating bansa na dinadala namin ang programa sa publiko at nag-iikot po kami sa kanya-kanyang mga probinsya at mga cities outside the capital. So yan po ay ginagawa namin ngayon at ang CCP grounds po, at meron naman po kaming theater dito sa CCP complex, yung Teatro Ignacio Jimenez or TIG na tinatawag namin, na doon kami nagtatanghal ng ibang mga shows ng iba-ibang resident companies at mga ibang CCP programs. So mabuhay na buhay po ang Cultural Center of the Philippines. So kayo po ay dumalo at sumali po sa nalalapit na Multi-Arts Festival happening this weekend, ang Pasinaya Arts Festival.
Thank you ma'am.
Cadets who become foreign service officers so that they also become familiar with culture and the arts that are happening in the country today. And we are still continuing with our upskilling workshops. These were started during the pandemic. These are intended to provide additional skills for other artists so that they can engage into other professions or other skills. And this has one of the most popular upskilling workshops that we have is actually arts therapy workshops, meaning the use of arts for therapy. And we will continue to be doing this during the year. Next, our outreach activities are guaranteed for the year. And we're thankful that we actually got funding for our outreach activities. And one of the most popular artists that many people outside of Metro Manila want to perform for them is the Philippine Philharmonic Orchestra. It may be because not too many local governments or local government units have orchestras where they are. So the Philippine Philharmonic Orchestra, we're just in the first month, but they've already gone to Iloilo and to Capiz, and their schedule is full for the year. But other than the outreach activities of the Philippine Philharmonic Orchestra, we also have other outreach activities that are intended for other marginalized sectors of society. So last year we did productions and performances for workers, for fisher folk, and then we will continue to do that in various places of the country. We will bring the arts to those sectors and to those areas which normally wouldn't otherwise have the chance to watch our productions. We will also, last year we already did pocket tours internationally. We brought members of the Philippine Madrigal Singers to areas in Europe where there are large Filipino populations. We are in negotiations with various consulates and embassies right now to bring other performing artists, especially since it seems like this year and the next, we will be celebrating a lot of milestones in terms of cultural agreements or diplomatic agreements with many countries. So we're looking into working with them to bring those performances and Philippine artists to them. Other than that, of course, the Tanghalang Pambansa is closed, and that means our exhibit spaces are also closed. So even our collections are also touring, are also going on outreach. Still ongoing right now are our exhibits of prints at the Iloilo Museum of Contemporary Art. We also have 2 exhibitions happening at the National Museum, which will be ongoing up to November. We are also having partnerships with private organizations and entities. We have had 2 exhibits in Arthaland buildings, and we are also going to have another one with them later this year. So not only our artists, but even our arts collections are also going on outreach. The next one is we're making sure that if you are not able to go to the CCP and you still want to access our collections, you will have digital access. So we're assuring you of digital access. We have a team that's going to be and have been managing our collections. You can access them either through the website, or you can actually subscribe to our encyclopedia online, where you can actually watch snippets of performances that have been recorded over the years, or you can actually have and watch exhibitions that are online. So last part of the year, we had an exhibition that was online, and you can access them through our 21st Century Art Museum. And then, as announced earlier by our Vice Chair, Margie Moran Florirendo, and I'd like to acknowledge that she was very instrumental in having the law that created the National Performing Arts Companies passed by both houses of Congress and signed into law. We will be, and we have started the search for 5 national performing arts companies who will be guaranteed a budget from the national government. They are performing arts companies. One will be a ballet and modern dance company. One is a theater company. One is an orchestra. One will be a choral company, and the other will be an indigenous group. But beyond the 5 subsidized national performing arts companies, we will also be selecting 3 other companies from each of those categories, which are going to call National Performing Arts Grantees, who will also receive a subsidy, an annual subsidy from the government to make sure that they are able to continue their activities. This law had actually been passed about 4 years ago, and we're very happy that finally we're able to secure funding for this to implement this program. And then also mentioned earlier, our flagship project for the CCP this year is our Canto Cultura, the Baraptasan Competition and Festival. I'm happy to announce to you that just yesterday, our screening committee selected the 10 finalists. These are groups of 3 individuals who are going to be performing live at the Rizal Park Auditorium Amphitheater on April 6. The 10 groups are coming from all over the country. There's one group from Ilocos, one group from Central Luzon, 2 groups from Region 4A, 1 from Metro Manila, 1 from Bicol, 2 from Visayas, and 1 from Mindanao. And they will all be coming to the Rizal Park Amphitheater to perform a baraptasan, and they will be, and then we will, there will be selecting winners, and the winner will receive 300,000 pesos as the prize. But it is not only the competition. The baraptasan is also a festival. It is being done on April 6 also to commemorate the centennial of the very first balagtasan competition between Florentino Colliantes and Jose Corazon de la Cruz. It also has the same period as the birth date of Francisco Baltasar. And we will also be featuring various types of verbal jousts from all over the country. We will have selections of balagtasans, duplos, Crisotan, and Bukanegan as part of the festival so that people recognize that the tradition of the verbal jousts like the balagtasan actually is a long tradition, and it connects to what we have right now in terms of the baraptasan. And if we were to look at 2024 in terms of what we hope to achieve in numerical numbers, we have already programmed 765 events for the year. This includes performances, screenings, exhibits, workshops. For the Pasinaya alone, there will be more than 40 performances, more than 40 workshops, more than 100 groups that are going to be participating. We expect to have over 200,000 on-site viewers in all the performances and screenings. This is aside from those that will be reached through online. And I'm also happy to announce we are finalizing negotiations with one of the existing free TV networks for our programs to be shown on free television within the year. And at the same time, we're also negotiating with a cable provider such that after they're shown on free TV, we will also be able to show them to cable subscribers or to streamers. We are hoping to engage more than 6,000 artists for our programs, and we hope to reach more than 16,000 workshop and training participants for the year. So as you can see, even if the Tanghalang Pambansa or the CCP main building is being rehabilitated, we are continuing to provide and bring our programs and activities to places that we have not otherwise reached and to where the Filipinos and where the audiences are. So that is the in capsule what is in store for us in 2024 as far as artistic programming is concerned. Now, one of our programs is the CCP Out of the Box, which started last year. And for this year, what we have programmed are not otherwise seen types of productions. And one of these has a peculiar story, and please allow me to share it with you. Over 12 years ago, award-winning composer Jed Caballero Balsamo messaged me and said that, asked me if I would be interested in writing the libretto for an opera version of the film Carnal, which is directed by Marilu Diaz-Abaya from a script by Ricardo Lee. Mind you, this is over 12 years ago. And I said, why not? And so we started working on it. It was not something that was going to be done for a particular production. And so it was something that we were doing over the years. Fast forward to just 4 years ago, Marilu Diaz-Abaya and Ricardo Lee became named national artists. And so all of a sudden, Jed and I felt that we should rush the project because then it becomes, shall we say, significant considering that Ricky Lee and Marilu Diaz-Abaya are now both national artists. And so, for the first time ever, today on this stage, you will hear an excerpt from the opera Carnal with music by Jed Caballero Balsamo, who will also be playing the piano. What you will hear is a song that is in the libretto, part of Act 3 of the opera. If you're familiar with the film is set in a remote town in Nueva Ecija, and there's a girl from Manila Puring in the film is played by Cecil Castillo, who is brought home to their hometown by Gusting, played by Philip Salvador, and she's like fish out of the water. It's not her element. But she becomes friends with a deaf mute named Gorio, who is played in the film by Joel Torre. So, in the scene that you will see, Puring visits Gorio, and being deaf mute that he is actually unable to hear what she says. But she uses that opportunity to speak her heart out about how she truly feels about her husband and about the situation that she's in. We won't have Gorio today, but we will have Puring sing the aria from Act 3 of Carnal, the opera. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on the piano, the composer himself, Gawad Buhay winner, multiple Gawad Buhay winner Jed Balsamo, and soprano Margarita Rocco. Margarita Rocco with Jed Caballero Balsamo. An excerpt from the Opera Carnal. It will have its chamber premiere as part of the Out of the Box series in October at the Tanghalang Ignacio Jimenez. Please allow me to acknowledge the presence of some of the members of the CCP Management Committee that are present this afternoon. I'd like to start by introducing our relatively new Vice President for Finance and Administration, Mr. Jose Victor Gaite, Jay. Our Department Manager for Marketing is Elaine De Padua. Our Department Manager for the Production and Exhibition Department, Ariel Leonzon. Our Department Manager for Cultural Content is Libertine De La Cruz. Is there anybody else from Mancom that I missed? And at this point, we're going to open the floor for questions. I'd like to invite on stage our Vice Chair, Ms. Maria Margarita Moran Sirendo, our President, Ms. Michelle Nikki Cunha, our Vice President, Mr. Jay Gaite.
Questions from our media friends. Erica.
I think they can hear. Good afternoon po. My question is...
Good afternoon, I'm Erica Jacinto. My question for you guys would be with regards to the national performing accreditations. You mentioned that the 5 main grantees, of course, will get the budget, and then there will be subsidies given to 3 more companies under the same umbrella. But does this affect the status of the companies as resident companies of the cultural center, or is it over and above, so additional?
Actually, we had that checked already by our legal counsel. No? So the National Performing Arts Company, in a sense, will take precedence over the residency program because the National Performing Arts Company cannot receive or have two contracts with the cultural center. Since the funding for the National Performing Arts Company is through the Cultural Center of the Philippines, then we will have to be in contract with the National Performing Arts Company. So, in case a resident company applies and becomes a National Performing Arts Company, then there will be some way of foregoing, for example, the remainder of the contract, and they will have to opt to become the National Performing Arts Company, which I believe they would because the amount of grants and support for the National Performing Arts Company is unfortunately much more than what the CCP is actually able to provide to them for now.
But for the national artists, the companies that pass, they still go through the regular grant request for grants to the CCP, or do they need to course everything to the NPAC?
There will be an NPAC secretariat in the CCP that will be responsible for doing all the paperwork and coordination. So there will be a selection committee that will choose the companies, and once they're chosen and the contract has been signed with them, then it's really a matter of reportorial and documentary process already afterwards. They will have to comply with the requirements of being a company, which means, of course, performing regularly, making sure that they're administratively and managerially efficient and effective, and the rest of it. And that means that they will then have to report regularly to the NPAC Secretariat, and there will be a monitoring committee that will regularly look at the activities of the National Performing Arts Company.
Thank you.
I recall a question. Sir Pocholo.
Hello. Correct me if I'm wrong. The CCP is always operating on a tight budget, and yet you accomplish so much. and it's reported. How do you do it, and what's the picture this year?
Hello? Yeah. What we did, what artistic director Dennis Marasigan and I did, we practically knocked on doors on the offices of both Congress and Senate to help augment our budget because of the ongoing rehabilitation, and that the budget for the programs are greatly affected. Especially that the building is closed, we need money to pay for venue rentals. So it really made an impact on our budget. So that's what we had to do, and very fortunate of us to be heard after our pleas, diba? That we were supported and given a certain amount that is helpful to mount our projects.
If I may add, I think we'd like to give credit to the CCP staff because they're able to work and do so much with so very little. So
We have another question from Tito Boy Dunisanta. Sir, Scott Garcia.
Yeah, Scott Garso, Philippine Scott. In following on Pacha's question, I was just wondering about the additional expenses we were able to get enough for the phases that are coming up. Having mentioned that there were additional things that you found that needed to be added to the costs, is it all covered? Are the checks already? It sounds like you've done a great job of lining up the funding. I'm just sort of going a little.
We will have to do another set of pleas for next year, and considering the inflation, so there's going to be quite a jump for the amount that we'll be needing to successfully cover the expenses for the rehabilitation for next year. Yeah, but we have had some form of commitment from government that we will be helped in finishing the building, and that's something that we look forward to. Yes.
I'll just have one more question, which is a pivot to, you mentioned 200,000 online viewers for all of your programs for 2024, Dennis. And I was
on
just-
site, that's
On site, not online. So will online services, online productions and airings and screenings be continue to be a bigger part of CCP's mission in terms of reaching out to the rest of the country?
the objective really is to reach as many people as possible, and so we will continue to explore all possible platforms to be able to make all our offerings accessible to the public, and that includes online, as I mentioned, even free TV and streaming services.
Has that drawn in a very large response from the public that you've noticed?
Actually, yes. Particularly with the experience during the pandemic, we did get a lot of support from the public during the pandemic. It has waned a little. I think there's still, we believe that there's really much more interest in doing things in person. But we're looking at the limitations of geography. That means that if you can't physically come to the venue or come to the CCP complex, then we will continue to make our productions and our programs accessible to those who cannot be present physically.
Thank you.
Miss Rose De La Cruz from Opinion.
Hello. For the longest time, CCP has been said to be sitting on a very fragile ecosystem. And I'm wondering, you'll be spending billions of pesos for the renovation of the rehabilitation of the building. I was wondering if it would be cheaper for you to just destroy the whole thing. Would it be sacrilege to just tear it down? Kasi ang dami ng diferensya di ba?
May I ask specifically what structure you are referring to? the main building. Well, the main building is a cultural treasure, so definitely it cannot be brought down, cannot be demolished, and it is a work of our national artist, architect Luxine. So we cannot do that, and it's something that really reflects Philippine arts and culture. So we have to do our very best to rehabilitate it instead and bring back to its original glory.
How much would its rehabilitation cost? And how do you expect to raise that amount? Considering that you also have to raise funds for the venue rentals for your programs.
Okay, it amounts to almost 2 billion to rehabilitate the entire CCP main building.
Question from Sir Jojo.
Ay, follow up din po dun sa tanong na yun. Yung 2 billion po na yun po yung original budget or mas lumaki na po because of the inflation, because of the challenges you encounter as renovations are ongoing?
There have been adjustments already because you see when it's renovation, retrofitting, rehabilitation, there will be a lot of surprises during the duration of the renovation. So may mga variations, correct, engineer? So these I think are not very surprising and normal for such renovation project. So definitely there has been some adjustment, but we are doing our very best to control the costs from going up. That's why we intend to really finish on time, because the longer it gets, the more it becomes expensive.
Are there ways the public or maybe even the media can help to hasten yung pag-commit ng mga pwedeng tumulong?
Yes, we've launched our campaign to help the CCP. I'm chairman of the Resource Development Committee, so we are tasked to raise the funds. But the government is also giving us money. They've given us already 950 million in total, and another 400 million this year. But there will be tranches from the government that will be coming the next 3 years. But nevertheless, we need help also from the private sector to augment it, because so that we can do more and make it look more beautiful.
My last question po, kahit po matapos ng renovation, binuksan na ulit, you think there's a chance na even then, ganito pa din kadami yung activities at ganito na kadami yung mga places na pwedeng pagdausan ng art events? Kasi mukhang magandang idea, no? At saka mas madaming, like yung mga hindi nga po makakapunta dito, mas may chance silang makita. Pinag-uusapan na po ba yun?
Yes. In fact, it actually grows and in leaps and bounds. The more areas we reach, the more interest there are in surrounding areas. So, for example, when the Philippine Philharmonic Orchestra, for example, goes into a capital city, then the other mayors and other governors are interested also in having the CCP programs brought to them. I'd like just to share an interesting, shall we say, conversation we had during one of the hearings in Congress held by Congressman Tof de Venecia. And he had some of the other congressmen, among them Congressman Richard Gomez, who had been very instrumental in bringing the Philippine Philharmonic Orchestra to Ormoc City. And then it got to the matter of pricing. How much should tickets be for such programs in areas like the city of Ormoc? And Congressman Richard Gomez said, we will have to give it to them for free, because in many places, the inhabitants, the residents, are not familiar with these kinds of productions. They haven't seen it, so they don't know how valuable it is. So the first time there is always going to be resistance, and the way to overcome that resistance is to give it to them for free, such that until they develop the shall we say, and I'm saying this objectively, the taste for it, that they are already wanting to have it, then we do have to go out of our way to provide these productions to them for free. So the system that has been done with the CCP is that we have to make sure that a local government unit ties up with us, because also the CCP cannot cover all the costs for bringing our productions, our performances, our performers to places outside of Metro Manila.
Yeah, in addition, one of the many objectives of CCP is to really educate the public about the importance of Philippine arts and culture. And being given the chance, the funding, the support from the legislators to bring, for example, the Philippine Philharmonic Orchestra to their own cities outside of the capital is such it benefits, you know, the people who cannot afford to come to Manila and go to the building and watch the shows here. So we bring CCP to the people, and by this the PPO, the Philippine Philharmonic Orchestra, even integrated in their program during the concert a number of which they are able to present the orchestral instruments. So apart from giving a concert to the people, the orchestral members together with the conductor, the resident conductor, is also educating the public on the importance and the instruments of an orchestra. So it is our duty in CCP to really educate and expand our borders. We're not confined in the CCP complex, but rather this is an opportunity for us to increase our reach, being closed right now. And once we open, we are very confident that we will be able to expand even more. Thank you.
Just to add, we're not only educating the public, we're also educating the NGUs. In fact, the effect of PPO going to Ormoc, as I was there, is that now the LGU will build a theater in Ormoc. So it has become a priority in many LGUs. Arts and culture is very important for their constituency.
Salamat po.
Hello. I would like to commend the several projects of CCP, which are, of course, hits, at this point, like Pasinaya, Sinmalaya, Virgin Love Fest. But, of course, there are other, I think, I gather from some impressions and some observations that some of the, one of the projects, like Cine Icons, parang konti lang daw pumupunta. So, in terms of popularizing this parang cellar dweller or not as hit projects, how do you come to intensify popularization or popularizing this other activities of CCP?
Yeah, me joining the tour group of Cine Icons, it has really developed in me some level of passion in promoting the old Filipino films, and brought me to, it's like it brought memories of the old films. And when we travel with the national artist, Ricky Lee, I see how the young ones are really engaging. And I've seen how the audiences are slowly increasing in number and awareness and curiosity on how our national artist is writing, the script. And for that, we are very grateful. And I even said that we wish to increase the funding of this project, because I see the growing interest of young filmmakers and film writers. So I think this is very important to continue, because it's making an impact on the young ones to 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 include being poetic in the way they write, because that's, I think, how our national artist would write his script. I fell in love again with Filipino cinema after road touring with them.
If I may add, part of the limitations that we have with CCP, for example, is we just can't go to a place and then expect that people will turn up for whatever we do. We do need to partner and to have partners who are also willing to take the responsibility of helping us, shall we say, popularize or to make known what we're doing. What we've also discovered in terms of our evaluation is that there are institutional hurdles that we need to overcome. So, for example, if we want to go to schools, we need to go through the Department of Education or through the regional office or through the division superintendent and all that bureaucracy that we have to encounter. So far, we've been very successful in dealing with those that are already partners with us. I mentioned earlier that we have a national network called the Kaisa sa Sini. So we have begun and we have been able to partner with them. The idea is to expand these partnerships so that we can overcome these institutional hurdles, which will then help us also reach more people.
I just like to add to that given the impact of this activity, we thought of really partnering with universities and colleges that can relate to film. So I'd like to take this chance and call on to professors, to mentors, to entice their students, mentees to participate in the Cine Icon.
Mars Galo, mag-birthday bukas.
Thank you. Last year, sakto din po. Happy Arts Month po to everyone. My question po is regarding the Cinemalaya situation. Because last year, when we did it at the PACC, marami pong nag-react na malayo, ganyan, tapos yung mga viewing rooms, especially the Rizal room, which was the biggest, but a lot of them, us had, neck aches. Pero po, the other rooms, the smaller rooms are okay, like the Bonifacio. May idea na po kayo saan po ilalagay or just a sneak peek and where can we expect some other venues? Sa TIG, okay naman po kasi although the Gawad Alternativo films are being shown there, maybe some of the films can be transferred din po dun sa, kasi maganda rin po yung viewing feels sa TIG, or maybe sige ko na say saan po siya pupunta next year? Aside from PICC still.
Yeah. We already did an evaluation of last year's Cinemalaya, and we are taking into consideration the audience feedback with regards to their comfort and their patronage of the films in relation to where they're being shown. So one of the things that is actually being considered is to really bring the Cinemalaya to actual cinema houses. And so we're looking for a partner that can provide us a certain number of screening venues in a single place, being able to accommodate the numbers that we expect the Cinemalaya to come. So I am not able to disclose that to you right now because negotiations are ongoing. In fact, within this month, we're set to meet with a possible partner, and we hope that something definite comes out of it. But even if that does not push through, we also have another backup plan already in place. So rest assured that way ahead of the next Cinemalaya, we will be announcing where the venue of the expanded Cinemalaya will be for 2024.
Thank you, Sir Dennis. Just to follow up, ilan po yung nag-show up po last year? Just an estimate of the crowd. Thank you.
35,000, 25 or 35,000? Of course, our numbers people are not here, but we can give you that number in a while. Now, just look at the records that we have. I just don't have that in memory right now. Ariel, do you have it? I'll give it back to you, Mars.
There's another question from Ms. Rose. Thank you.
Actually, hindi ito question, but a suggestion. Kasi I've noticed that the kids as young as grade 2, 3, mas involved sila engaged na sila sa Korean culture. Why don't we go down and partner with DepEd so that we'll be able to show our little kids to love our own arts and culture?
We would love to partner with DepEd. And we have made efforts to reach out to DepEd.
We have Pasinaya, so we start from there. Yeah, so please, media friends, help us reach out to the families, especially with young children. Please bring them to the Multi-Arts Festival.
Also, I mentioned that we're partnering with the normal schools. So we're teaching the teachers directly, if at all. So if we, as we say, if it's difficult to overcome an obstacle, then you work around it.
Ms. Francine, next question.
Hi, I'm Francine from Recipe. About the rehabilitation, are there going to be new portions in the center, like maybe places for archives, other than the expansion of the rehearsal areas? And I assume there will be who's going to design the acoustics of the theaters?
Well, actually, it's in the plans. Since, we're going to fix the building and all, we have to restudy what is actually needed at this time. Do we need more rehearsal spaces, So we are actually on the process of studying it. And so thank you for bringing up that question. Yes. So, but we don't have a definite answer yet, but we are on the process of fixing and figuring out how to best identify new areas within the building.
Or the complex.
And also the complex. Yes, we have a very reliable acoustician. That's Nagata. Yes, from Japan. Yes.
Next question, Mark Gossel. And then next, Simbol Labora.
Hi, so we know how CCP has influenced a lot of different generations throughout the years. I want to talk about the Gen Zs. So, how would you describe, based on your experience, the Gen Z as an audience and as an artist?
Thank you for that beautiful question. Let's just say that we are doing all that we can in terms of being able to address all the concerns of the different audience segments. In fact, we have come up with the audience preference survey, which identified specific niches and specific needs. And we are trying to address their concerns, or each of the concerns of each of those, including identifying possible influencers for particular audience segments. And for all you know, you might be among those who have been identified as influencers. So, to address your generation. And then just to address Mars's question, it's 27,000 in 2023. Simula 19.
So was that higher or lower from the previous?
It's lower than 2019, but higher than 2022. 2019, when we were still at the main building, that was much higher.
Can I just add something to the previous question about the Gen Zs, what CCP is doing about this generation? If I may share that the Board of Trustees have initiated some programs, and one of which is Canto Cultura, and this one aims to
really find, or it's more of an experiment of the tradition and what's new now, because it is a challenge somehow to attract the millennials to appreciate Philippine arts and culture. And we've had several approaches on how to get their attention. So one of the projects we've had in the past during the pandemic is Canto Canta, and we asked for submissions. This is a nationwide competition, and they submitted original compositions wherein we asked to incorporate the indigenous instruments and create a new sound. Okay, it hopes to get out, bring up a new sound from the usual mainstream, which the Gen Zs are so attracted to, you know. So maybe it's a project that was actually successful and has gotten the attention of the audience that we have been trying to target. But not that I'm saying that our other programs are not relatable. It's just that what I want to impress here is that we are thinking of other programs other than what we are actually doing for years now, and really becoming very conscious about it and doing our best to be present in their world. So digital media, we also ventured into innovation grants. So we are now in digital media. We have enticed digital artists to venture into animation, game development, and comics. So I just want to express the flexibility now of a CCP, that we are really evolving. So, you know, our programs are continue to be growing.
Latest, Mars, the audience of PICC, 28,434. We also have cinema audiences in the others, Ayala Cinemas, 9,896. So we have total audience of 38,330 for Cinema Live 2019.
More?
Magandang hapon po. Ang tanong ko po is tungkol dun din sa building. Is the building gonna be future-proof in production or capturing the performances for archiving? It is being considered para at least, kasi hindi lang po kasi during the production, but it should be also be archived for sharing, because you'll be opening it on TV and screening it properly. So it's gonna be
A broadcast quality.
broadcast quality.
Yeah, we've been observing that before the building was even closed. So that's really a high consideration, that the theater will have to be prepared for that. So well, it's on the works now. We have theater experts who will be hopefully who can really help us reach that objective, that it should be ready. Kasi kami rin na-frustrate. We also want that quality production. So yeah.
And also filmmaking experts. Sir Dennis?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, that was one of the discussions of the Space Committee in terms of figuring out ideal situations, ideal places for, shall we say, a production village, camera positions. So that's among the discussions that's happening, because you're aware that previously, when productions is being videotaped for documentation or for broadcast, the positions are makeshift, the production village is in the hallway, and all those sorts of things. So these are being considered. There are certain limitations though, because we cannot do so much with the structure of the building itself. So it's really a matter of apportioning the spaces that are already available so that they can be best used for the purpose that you mentioned.
Also, I have one question is, do you consider creating a CCP app? Because you already have a lot of programs and it's easy that audience can install the app, CCP app, and then everything will be there, and then you will be notified anything.
Yes, in fact, we actually have one department that's supposed to be taking care of that. Except that we don't want to rush into it if we're not also ready. Kasi when we start having the app, then that means we have to make sure that the content is also available. So we're slowly getting into that baby steps. So in this year alone, you will hear about certain aspects of our business actually going more and more online.
One last. Of all the other films from Cinemalaya, I think when saan sila maging available na streaming platforms, I believe they will be opened in other platforms also.
You're aware that the films are actually are owned by the filmmakers, no? So they actually make the deals in terms of what platforms they want. So we are only able to access the films if they're actually being shown on CCP or on our own platforms, and still we have to get permission from the filmmakers. So since it is more favorable to the filmmakers if they make the deals themselves, we allow them to, and then we come in and ask if we can still are able to access them. But the films are owned by the filmmakers, so they have all the right to determine where they want the films to be shown.
Thank you.
Erica. Sir Dennis lang.
Yeah, it's about the rehab of the building. You said earlier that the architecture will remain intact because it's an iconic building. But what about the interiors? We hope it still looks the same. Every inch of the interiors will be retained also. The carpets, the colors.
Hello. Yeah, okay, we are actually in talks about that under the guidance of the Luxing Group. But because there has to be an area also wherein kailangan, the generation now can relate to. So we are trying to find that area wherein we can put something maybe digital. But the important areas, those areas that are untouchable will remain. Yes. So we intend to keep it the way it should. Especially the artworks. Yes.
What about the driveway in front? Will you ever make it usable again? The ramp?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Because it's one of the fun things about going to CCP before, getting off the car. And everybody waiting for the car.
We have actually rehabilitated the ramp already before closing the building. Yeah. You just can't maybe appreciate it now because nobody can go to the building and watch the show. But once the building is open, we can test it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just to add, Engineer Deb is here to attest to it. There are some places in the building itself where we will and they are already adding either to the expanding some posts for structural reasons. So not everything will be exactly the same, but the expectation is that when it goes back, when we get back to open it, what you will notice is how beautiful it is, more than you have ever remembered it to be.
Much better.
Good afternoon. Miss Nikki, you're a conservatory trained singer. Somebody asked you to appear in a musical, in a CCP musical. Would you consider it unethical?
Why would it be unethical? I'm leading an arts and culture institution, so I think since that is my advocacy, I should accept it freely, pero wala maybe bayad.
I think it will be unethical if she doesn't deserve to be in it. So I think that's not the question. I mean, I think if she's asked, it's because she deserves to be in the musical.
My question is also about the structure of the cultural center. Way back in 2019, the press was given a blueprint of what was to be expected of the CCP. and that included new theaters and new rehearsal spaces for whoever is the current resident artists. So, but at the moment, there's no new building. So, are we going to expect that to be after that phase to begin after the 2026 opening?
When you were presented that in 2019, the funding for the Artist Center, which was the building that it was supposed to be, where there were already plans and architectural drawings, that was going to be the priority at the time. But when the board found out about the building audit, what it did, because of the emergency that was needed for the rehabilitation of the building, the funds that were originally for the Artist Center are the ones that were initially used for the rehabilitation. We have been talking to the legislators and the DBM again about recovering the amount. And we keep saying that we already have that amount for the Artist Center, give it back to us so that we can construct it hopefully before 2026. I hate to be bureaucratic at this point, but there's also such a thing that's used in the budgetary process as obligation and utilization of funds. So there are limits also to what an institution can spend within a given period. And so they're also looking at that. They're not going to give us the money to do that if they see that we're still having monies to spend for something that is still ongoing. So I mean, the decision is not entirely ours. That was something that the President and I actually, when we were going around, literally room to room, telling the legislators that we talked to, that oh, by the way, we have these funds originally for this building, and yet we use it for the revenues. If we get it back, that's something that is always, we always bring up. However, it might be more realistic to say that it's not going to happen as yet by 2026, but rest assured that that's something that is still in the minds and in the planning of the planning horizon of the board and the management of CCP.
Thank you. I have two more questions. One is related to what my friend here mentioned about broadcast quality. So the resident companies, all of the CCP shows are covered with a video recording. But as we found out during the pandemic, not all of the way it was documented is broadcast quality. Having learned from that experience, moving forward in 2024 and onwards, are we looking at improving the amount of cameras, amount of documentation per show, so that if, knock on wood, something like the pandemic happens again, we would be ready to continue showcasing shows in their full glory, instead of like a one camera setup show?
Yes, and since you know me, you know that's something that's within my, shall we say, within my ken. No? And there's Levi, whose unit is supposed to be in charge of it, and she knows that I'm at her back because of that. But then there are also limitations again regarding budget. If we were to document all of our productions, broadcast quality, 4K, kasi 4K, if you're expecting future-proof, you say, di ba? Future-proofing na tayo, kung 4K na tayo, that will be twice the amount of the budget of the CCP right now. And then also the storage capacity that is needed for making sure that they're ready for broadcast. We are doing that by exception this year. As I mentioned, we are talking to a network already and a streaming service. So we have come up with those that are already available. 2K pa nga lang pinag-uusapan, 2K resolution. But at the same time, I'd like to report to you that some resident companies are already doing that on their own. No? For example, Tanghalang Pilipino has been documenting all of their recent productions, beginning with the post-pandemic version of Doc Resurrection for broadcast quality already. Meaning they actually set aside taping days for the production to be filmed for broadcast quality already. And we hope that all the companies can also try to invest in that. But for the CCP's part, we are trying to do as much as we can, making sure that at least those that we foresee have the capability of crossing over into broadcast are actually documented at least 2K at this time. There are already productions that we're documenting 4K. There are already productions that we're doing 5 cameras, etc. So
Especially for the world premieres of the resident companies, was it something to document and add to the archive?
which is not always the best performance.
Yes.
So again,
Yes. They have to perform well every day because you don't know when CCP can come in and capture the show. And for my last question, last question. A while ago, the audience count was very interesting for us to hear. And we know that the CCP has, through the years, really been very professionalized, been focused on professionalizing everything, key performance indicators everywhere, on-site audience, online audience, and etc. But is there an actual group studying the progression of the CCP audience count?
yeah, we have the figures actually throughout the years, and we keep going back to it. And the head of the production exhibition department, Ariel Leonson, is actually somebody who throws the figures every so often to his staff and also to us. So you can be assured that
So
we're aware.
accessible, pwede po siyang
Yeah.
i-request.
Yeah, you can request for that.
Thank you so much.
We also have to prove our existence. Government,
Correct.
audience.
Any more questions?
Thank you
Last
so much.
question po.
But I'd like to tell you an interesting conversation we had with the GCG, which is the monitoring group. We were explaining to them, this is what we're doing. For example, we have public art, okay? We do have, like for example, during the Earth Day, and he said, if we count the number of vehicles that pass through Ross Boulevard and the number of passengers through each, which we can, then we can safely say that so many number of people saw the Earth Day installation. And they said, how can you prove that? I said, well, these are the premises, but we need the proof. I said, what proof do you need? And they huddled and they said, huwag nyo lang isama. Huwag nyo lang isama yung feature na yun. Just have the total number in a specific place, for example, the opening. But they ask us not to include in our projections the projection that we have in terms of how many people actually saw public art in the front lawn, because they also don't have the proper means to validate it. So sila na mismo nagsabi, huwag nyo na muna isama doon sa report mo.
Any more last question? Kung wala na po, thank you for coming to our CCP Institutional Press Conference.
Thank you everyone.